Today, Hector will speak about the creative processes and approaches which underpin the practice, which he founded in 2003. Esrawe Studio's diverse body of work traverses the realms of creativity, innovation, and design, leveraging multidisciplinary collaboration to conceive and realize integrated and holistic projects. Importantly, for a school like ours, the studio's work engages and leverages specific disciplinary thinking and expertise, but it also seeks the transdisciplinary and celebrates that particular and peculiar alchemy of thinking, craft, space, and material that is only produced when a range of disciplinary specific approaches are brought together and synthesized through collaborative design. Thank you, Hector, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And welcome to the
Thank
SOA.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for attending. Can you hear me? Everywhere? Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for being here. It is a pleasure to visit you and in this beautiful campus. I was walking yesterday. I saw the piece of James Turrell. It's an incredible campus. I'm happy to be here, guys. So I'm gonna walk you through the studio. I'm gonna walk you through the philosophy of the studio and show you a selection of projects of different scales and different, let's say, disciplines that we have created. It doesn't have a proper order. It's not chronologically order. It is most related to certain aspects that links them. Some of them are arbitrary. Some of them are related on how they are built. And well, welcome. Let me see. It's not. There you go. I started the practice around 30 years ago. We today are a mix of interior designers, architects, industrial designers. We embrace the collaboration as an essence of our practice. We do believe that a table that mixes different minds can add more value to any of the projects. And again, we have a diverse team of different professions and different ages. Most of the guys are between 23, 24 years to 35. It's a young team. And we believe in process as the essence of our practice. We believe that process can lead us to multiple results. We do cherish the fact of understanding the word mistake as an opportunity to solve a new possibility. We actually don't consider these pieces or these archives mistakes. We tend to keep all of our processes alive and to create and to do models and to have a living archive of elements that eventually can lead us to a new solution. It is a big archive. Not all of it is displayed at the studio, but we like to surround ourselves with it because it becomes what eventually could nurture a new project. So whatever can be conceived as a wrong solution for a project, it becomes an opportunity for a new project. In the studio, we mix four different projects. One of the projects is the interior design studio. Other of the projects is architecture design studio. We have two platforms of limited editions. One of them is with two partners, and the other one is by myself. And we're lucky to be born in a culture that has a heritage, that has a tradition, that has the skills that until recently, let's say in the movement of what we have in Mexico now of design, architecture, let's say, it's a certain type of renaissance because it's also a culinary movement, it's an art movement. And it is related to the fact that we look back at who we are as culture. We cherish the fact of looking back to our ancestors, but what we do and what we promote is how we translate these skills, how we work with these skills in order to translate them into new meanings and create new possibilities. We do visit this heritage. We do create our narrative around this heritage, and we mostly aim to keep this rigor on how things were done and, again, create new possibilities out of it. So if you see all the techniques, if you see all the scales, there was a mastery on how to create. Most of it was to praise, no? Most of it was to build, to be for a deity, no? For being able to transcend. And this heritage has now become, again, a big influence in our narrative and in our work. So when I started the studio, I was more of a tailor. I tend to do all the activities myself. I was a really small studio, and I was working, doing almost all of it, no? Like designing, rendering, doing all the processes, and also, but most of it, I was isolated in an understanding of what to create. Eventually, and through time, and trying to find more possibilities around my practice, I became more of an orchestra, to say it in a way, or my team became more of an orchestra, where sometimes I'm the one that leads the orchestra, but also sometimes I change my seat, and sometimes I led by others through collaboration, and that has, in a way, allowed me to be able to visit different places, let's say, on the orchestra, that has become essential to my understanding of what creativity and what design is. What I talk with my students is that the more you leave your ego out of the table, the only thing that could happen is that you learn. So I have worked with my team in create a platform of constant learning where we interact with different colleagues of different disciplines and even disciplines that are not related. And we have created a methodology that allows us to work alongside other teams to different typologies of kind of projects. I'm going to describe the conception of one project. This is the project of Shinu Perfumes, which was done in collaboration with Ignacio Cadena. And it is a brand that is based on the botanical of the Americas. At the beginning, we were talking about the botanics of Mexico, but we understood that the botanics doesn't know about borders, and we created a project that it talks about and praise around the botanical and the vastness and riches of the botanicals of the Americas. So our studio start to create this research around shapes that are embedded in nature, don't need to be specifically around the botanicals, but it also has show us how the nature and the geometry of nature have influenced artists from all over the world to create incredible pieces of art. No? We see some pieces of Brancusi or some other tribal pieces that appears, and all of them, in a way, have a deep connection to nature. So working around that concept, we start to create a relation of that shape that was common all along in our research. And then we created a bottle that, in a way, looks simple. It's extremely complex to do this. this bottle in blown glass and create a cap of wood that is half of a circle that is cut in half, and it is assembled in opposites. And we see all the process around it, all the molds that we created in the studio to understand all the different technical possibilities around to build the piece. Again, it looks like a simple shape. It is an extremely complicated piece to be blown in glass. So we make all the tests that allow us to get to the final product. No, this is the bottle of Chinook, which also we aim in all of our projects to maintain a sustainable approach. So as soon as you finish with the perfume, you take away the paper tag and you start to use it as an object that you can collect. Also, everything is in paper. All the paper is able to be recycled, and then the piece has a purpose after being consumed, to say in a way, and have another possibility for being used by the client. We also created the display. We do believe that emotional design, the one that can create an experience, a holistic experience where you can smell, touch, and understand all what creates the product, makes it richer for the audience. So we create like the table of the naturist where we talk about exploration, where we display how we achieve the bottle or how some of the plants are what are the components of the perfume, and we express them either in text or in samples, even physical samples of the plants. And then this place is surrounded by some of the species that are integrated into the perfume. So I'm gonna switch to another project. If someone wants to, I don't know if you wanna keep questions for the end, or yeah, okay. So long time ago, I read this book of, maybe some of you have read already, which is called In Praise of Shadows of Tanizaki. And it really has created an impact on my perception on how to use light in my projects. But in particular, I was obsessed about a certain chapter of the book that talks about, for example, in China, no? when you see the lacquer, the red lacquer, or the golden, let's say the golden dragons on a cabinet, they were not meant to be displayed on Occidental light. No, they were meant to be displayed in a dark environment where you pass with a candle, and then the dragon and the reflection of the dragon appears. So in a way, it talks about how we have used light in the wrong way, how we have translated the use of light in the wrong way. And that gave me the inspiration to understand how light can travel to metal surfaces. I think this is a process that I've been working on the last 4 or 5 years. I think I'm like just starting with it. I would like to go deeper and deeper into it. And I created, as an homage to Felix Candela, a series of objects that have an architectonical expression that are called parabola, and those parabolas are elements made of brass that a single material lit up with a LED light can make light travel to a metal surface. This is some prototypes of exercises made at the studio. And how through a surface of brass we can create this contention of light, how we can maintain light contained and create this environment, how light travels through it. So this is a first exercise with a simple round shape that becomes really strong when it's placed on a table or in an environment. And then we expand the exploration in shapes that are really the tension that the same material creates is what provides the shape. No? Mostly we attach it on the lower parts, and that tension is what creates a shape that contains the light, and in a way creates this perception of what is in and what is out. And something more expressive, more architectonical, that again, the idea is to display the different possibilities on how light travels to metal surfaces. So it was not enough for me. In a way, I decided to take the exercise to a different scale. And working with these ribbons of brass, I started to create these pieces that actually can inhabit almost any place that they interact with. So I started to make these custom-sized pieces that can literally invade any space and can have a connection between ceiling, floor, wall, and can start to expand all over space. So this is also a collection of limited edition pieces that it is more an exploration. And when I was talking with Clay some minutes ago, that the fact that we do limited editions has to do with the fact that we work with small workshops. We promote the skill of those workshops, and in a way, we don't aim for making something that has a lot of speed of repetition. With this possibility, with limited editions, we have managed to create a horizontal approach to artisans. We have managed to work at their capability, and it has become an approach that works, again, in a horizontal way, because the benefits of doing collectible design has permeated into their studios, like the benefits, economical benefits, and the pride of doing pieces that are exhibited in certain galleries and museums has come to their studios. So they have maintained certain abilities that if they were doing pieces of repetition, they would not have been able to maintain at their studio. So this is another evolution, let's say the third one, called Solsticio. And Solsticio is inspired on the futurism of the Deco, no? Like this nostalgia of the Deco. And it is a piece made in another metal workshop. It's called Cipesa. It's a small workshop in Mexico City, where, again, we work with basic tools, to say it in a way, and we use as minimum as technology as possible, and mostly privilege what is done by hand. So we cherish the accident as part of the expression. Even we design around all the possible accidents that the piece will have. Accidents are not excuse. Accidents are what makes a piece unique and what makes a piece original. And we do like to see the imprint of the hand in all of the pieces that we create. So this is polished by hand, welded by hand, assembled by hand, and in a way it also maintains the intention of understanding the presence of light into a metal surfaces. So we expanded the exploration into more pieces, into more possibilities of, let's say, geometrical shapes that can reflect light in different ways. And not only in brass, we also started to explore other metals like aluminum or also darkened steel. And it's really rich to visit one of these workshops, and due to these visits, we also find new possibilities to create new pieces. This is the one in aluminum, which also has a totally different expression and has its own character. And blackened metal. And this is a piece that was a request for a brand of tequila in Mexico. It's the house called Casa Dragones, and it's their headquarters. And we did a site-specific piece that goes up to 3-story high in the Casa Dragones. So I'm going to change the scale. I'm going to go to a different typology. This is a Japanese restaurant in Mexico City. It is inside, let's say, an area of corporate buildings. And we have a challenge to create a space. It was a big space with a chimney for teppanyaki, the extraction of the teppanyaki. It was a challenge to maintain a balance. It was an open space. They don't have too much budget. And we created out of a single material, which is plywood and solid wood, like wood in general, create the full expression of the place. And instead of our thinking is not about, if it's a Japanese restaurant, not to be literal on how we take the elements of a culture when we want to make an interpretation. We went more to a palette of colors. We went more to more abstract intention. For example, on the left side, you see two samurais, and what covers the chest of the samurai in battle is a helmet, not a helmet, how you call it, a vest called do, and the do is made out of small elements of metal that allows them to move freely when they are in battle. And out of that expression, we like the idea of translated into an armor, let's say, to protect the space out of the fire, and created these chimneys that become the iconic elements, the monumental elements in the space, and are the ones that, in a way, create the balance of the space, and created an abstract language on, like if they were kanjis, we abstract the essence of the kanjis. And just, there you go. Sorry, my son. I couldn't bring him, so I bring some photos. And in a way, displaying these two elements in the counter sides of the space, it gives it the balance and it gives it the strength for the project. So this is the layout. It has a long terrace, and then the two elements you can see on the right-hand side. There's like a structure, and on the left-hand side, the round shape is the chimney of the teppanyaki. And this is the structure that we created. We model almost everything that we're gonna do in order to be able to process it and to understand it. And we created this structure that covers the extraction of the Japanese, and also the abstraction of the kanjis. They only are revealed when the light touches, no? When the light washes that wall. We didn't assign any lighting around it. It is mostly what happens during the daylight that allows the expression of what happens in the wall. Has a small shop for Japanese food and objects. It's a grab and go. So changing the scale again, this is our first house. We didn't start with architecture until 8 years ago. We started to collaborate with many architects previous to that doing interiors, and always asked them to start the collaboration since the beginning of the project. So we became, in a way, partners of the project of architecture and interior design. And this client in particular asked me to do her house. This is a house for a mother and 3 daughters. They live in an area in the north of Mexico City, and they wanted a place that gave them protection and gave them a sense of being, let's say, more introspective, more introverted relation with the outdoors, but more embedded into nature and more integrated in the indoor. So we created, you're gonna see here in the next image, we created a wall that has the connection to the outside. It is relevant to say that we we work with local materials. We work with processes that can be achieved locally. And we mostly understand what can be produced in Mexico in order for understand our context, our possibilities, and really make it not only feasible, but only making it look local in a way. So through this hallway, you access to the garden, and it starts to reveal a more extroverted house, more open house that is mostly placed that way for the family to interact. This is the garden in the center, and you start to see the stairways that connects to the rooms above. And is this interaction on how the house on the inner part become more, let's say, more open and more oriented to create this interaction within the family. And from that house, we are starting to build this house in Mérida. Mérida is a place in the south of Mexico, which is rich in materiality. It has an incredible relation with materials. And the client had an obsession with deco, with Art Deco. And he asked us that his house should have a connection with deco. And we made our research and realized something that I knew in the past, that the deco was inspired in the Mayan cultures and the Mesopotamic cultures. So in a way, this building become like a neo-Mayan interpretation, something that for us needs to have that connection that the client wanted, but for us, again, be an exercise of translation. We have 4 volumes. She's a photographer and he's a mixologist. So these interactions on how they relate with the house created these 4 pavilions. The pavilions are interconnected by a type of cross, to say it in a way, that provides the inner connection of the pavilions. And all the relation with the deco, or let's say with the Mayan observatories, or with geometrical shapes that is mostly sorted around weather solutions on how we can provide less impact from the sun, on how we can avoid the sun and have more openings in the house. And it also creates a natural flow of air that transits through the house. And how those shapes were not only an expression of what we want to do, but mostly what the house requires. So we start to play with volumes that, in a way, creates these interactions that allow these flows of air and the sun to be avoided during daylight, and come out with this volume that is connected by that cross-shaped section. You can see the layout here, how it's divided. They have the living room with an upper studio for the photographer. The back, the kitchen is a full kitchen, but also works for the mixologist. The room on the lower floor, the parking, and on the upper floor they have a guest room and a TV room. So you can see how the volumes in a way creates these interactions. And what is above the cross is a terrace. No, it's a terrace that actually allows them to refresh during hot days. It's extremely hot in Mérida, and it's a tropical weather, so it's also humid all day. So you can see the terrace creating the connection between the 4 volumes. And with local materials, this is covered with a material that is called chukun, which has an elastic property. It's made out of a burnt tree, and well, the resin of the tree creates this texture that has low maintenance, and it's elastic enough so it doesn't break or crack during time. So it has certain glimpses that evokes the deco, but also is a translation into a contemporary language, and it integrates many elements of what we do in our practice, some objects, some piece of furniture, and in a way, this connection, whatever is the connection of this hallway, it is on a tile that in a way reflects and brings in the outdoors in every corner of the cross. And the terrace that I was telling you about, no? This terrace that really remains fresh most of the day and allows them to spend time there. And on top of the garage, we have a view to the jungle, so it also becomes a space to inhabit. And then going to another scale, this is an interior for an apartment in Mexico City. I'm going to show the layout. The layout is for the apartment is for a young couple. They must be around 30 years old, and the guys wanted to have, or they planned to have just one kid. So they wanted a space where they can interact more on everyday basis. He likes music, she likes music. They want to have friends at their house. On the lower part, you see, can you see my mouse? I don't know if you can see my mouse. No. On the lower part, you have, there's a laser that I can have at hand. So I can explain the layouts better. Thank you.
Super bright. It's not bright enough, unfortunately. It's there, but it's...
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Is the lower button? Is the...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. So in this part, they have a view to a giant park, like they have a full view for this park. And this is more introspective. This is more to the parking, which is also small park. So we got rid of almost all the walls, and we have two columns that we couldn't get rid of, and they were exactly in the middle. We opened all this space for the kitchen, and instead of trying to cover, like, or just to express the column, we decided to make a more sculptorical approach out of it, and we created an element that allows them to have it creates all the flow, all the circulation in the apartment. So it leads them straight to the main room, and it divides the kitchen from the living room. And it also, since they like music, they can set a DJ set here, and they can have their grill and a connection with the terrace. And this element becomes also the piece of furniture that will allow them to, it's like an open bar. And you can close the kitchen with these two doors. So in a way, a single element is the main gesture of the apartment, and mostly to maintain a few palette of materials, to not to have a lot of materials. And the collaboration with, this is Ewe Studio, which is a brand that I share with Manuel Baño and Agues Alayoe, one curator and one designer. We started this company like 7 years ago, and I'm gonna start with Ewe talking with this piece. We do some collaborations, even for architecture. This is a process that we started like 4 or 5 years ago. And this company is more based on the, let's say, ancestral expression of Mexico. It's not related to the stereotypical connection that you may consider of Mexico. It goes more to the realm of sacred objects or sacred rituals, and in a way also have a connection with the process itself, on how the stonemasons can really achieve amazing pieces with their hands or using the minimum electrical tools. So we start this exploration out of a shape that comes out of discarded material. When you cut the stone, you use these nails to cut the stone, and you mark the stone, and then you break it, and you're gonna see this video now. And when you break it, there's a mark that stays in the stone, that most of the time is polished or is forgotten, like it's not part of the expression. When you get a slab of stone, that expression disappears. But it's really rich in character, and really rich for us was like at the beginning of a conversation around how a texture that most of the time disappear and it's gone, how it can become an expression. So we start to overscale the let's say the perforations. We start to work with drills, and we start to create more interactions and merge the possibility of having a certain type of altar, or let's say, an altar, and how we can create this type of column that create these pedestals or these altars. And it had evolved into incredible possibilities. We're still expanding the expression of this, because it also depends on when I was talking about accident, how this different stone, which is less, let's say, consistent than the other, start to break in a different way and start to express in a different way. And some of the processes, when I told you also that we like the idea of visiting the workshops, because there's new possibilities that happen, and say, stop there, no, the piece looks incredible, don't polish the rest of it. Those interactions for us have become really relevant. There's a series of pieces that we call unfinished, that come out of visiting the workshops and understanding all the magic that happened in those processes. Now we have the amazing possibility that we are surrounded by metal workshops, stone workshops, wood workshops, and we are more and more exploring possibilities. You will see after a process that I'm doing, I'm starting to work in bronze. I'm really, really excited in bronze, and also we've been working in glass. So it's really satisfying, and it's really as creative to be able to express in more ways with these allies, with these incredible allies that are the artisans. So objects that started as just symbols of can be that come from visiting the Museum of Pre-Hispanic Cultures, and also this mix of what can happen when the colony arrives to Mexico, and these objects that are more objects, symbols of praise and our abstraction of that. But then if we reassign the scale, they can become benches, or they can become objects that you can interact. And we took them, this is in Rockefeller Center in New York, we took them to the public space, and how, again, with these materials and these possibilities and this reassigning of scales, you can create different language and different possibilities. And then this is a site-specific project, also a bench for the lobby of a building. These connections that we can have, or this process that we can even make a one-of-a-kind piece that becomes the bench for this lobby, it is part of the possibilities that more and more we're inclining to studio to work for. Like we are doing more and more site-specific pieces. We do like the idea of this interaction of objects with architecture, and how the objects can define the space and how they can create a strong connection with the space and have a meaning for sure for it. So then we switched the scale again, and I had the opportunity to visit the quarries in Carrara, and also I went years ago to the quarries in Iran. And the spectacle of seeing these spaces that are part of a process, but become in a way an incredible possibility towards an expression of a space, and it really becomes like a overscale model, no, of possibilities to learn about and to understand how you can interact in architecture. So from that visit, we started a relation with this brand of marbles. They used to sell marble and wood and stone and some other materials for construction, for architects, for interior designers. And like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, no, like 9 years ago, we started to embed in all of our projects either a social or a cultural element. So we convinced these guys that the first image, you're gonna see it more expanded after, but we convinced these guys of not going to construction shows and spend a fortune on something that is gonna end in the trash, but find another way to communicate the brand that promotes, again, the artisan, the final result, that promotes the skill of the architects or designers that collaborate with the brand, and also give a donation to the public space after the exhibition is over. So we convinced them to do that, and that started to evolve into something. They asked us after that project to do this store. This is our third project of architecture. It is a design center that holds a storage, like I don't know how to translate in meters, 5,000 square meters. It's like something like 50,000 foot, no? And then it evolved to another location. This is the second one is in Guadalajara, the third one is in Miami. And then it was about to evolve to a fourth location, but pandemic hits and it was put on hold. So we created, rather than a store of materials, a cultural node. And this had expanded in an incredible way. Like we convinced the client to take a risk and to change the perception of how a business model should be perceived. It's not a trade of I give you money, you give me materials. It is how you can arrive to a context and completely create an impact on that context. For example, the second one in Guadalajara is an open space that have an agora. I'm going to explain it later. I'm going to start in order again. I get lost in my mind, but this is the first one. So we, with a group of architects, more of a collaboration rather than it requires many people, a group of 5 architects friends, we decided to collaborate in a piece for ARCA and created this element that can become an expression of what the brand can achieve and what is the real relation of what material should be used to create a connection or to create another possibility. And this piece, after that, traveled to different universities, and at the end was a donation for a university as benches for a public space. So in a way, how we can break the paradigms and understand new possibilities on how we approach to brands or to clients, and how we can create a new type of connection. So from this piece, we went to this scale. You can see here that instead of doing a traditional warehouse, where they sell materials, we wanted, and we convinced them again, to create an agora where they have a library. They have a library and they have a coffee shop that all the architects are welcome to go and open the books. And there's a small gallery that they can exhibit architectural projects or models or maquettes, or they can have a lecture or a concert or a talk in the agora, and all of it is open for the community to use. So you don't need to be a client in order to be able to use the space. So when this space arrived to Guadalajara, for sure it was welcomed by the community, not only the creative community, but also by the locals around. So, and these guys, let's say this is the lower access where you have the Agora. You enter through the Agora and surround it in order to go to the design center. And you enter into the design center where they display materials in a more conventional way. And you overlook from the second floor the capabilities of the brand. They display the full scale of the work of the warehouse. And then on the third floor, we have the coffee shop at the end, a patio, no, for events, a gallery here at the end, and then you overlook the void of the Agora. And in a way, it was for me, how can I bring the expression of the query, no, that I visit into a model of a store? So it is, let's say again, introspective. To the outside, it doesn't display as a store. And on the inside, you have this representation or abstraction of a query. And in a way, again, it creates this multiple possibility of exhibiting art or making lectures or making concerts that are open for the community. And how, in a way, design can transform the understanding and the possibilities of a project. This client was aiming all his life to sell products abroad Mexico, and he could never achieve it. And until they made this project, the clients from everywhere start to contact them and ask them to be their suppliers. That leads them. This is the design center where you overlook the storage, the warehouse. And wherever you walk into the space, for sure, you see one of the materials that they use on an everyday basis that they sell, and it's applied in a way that you can really understand, that you can know that they know what they're doing when they promote you, sell you a material. And this is the third iteration with them. This is a project in Miami. It is in Wynwood, and since we were approaching to a district that the expression is through art, we decided as architects to step aside and mostly create a canvas for an artist to make an intervention. This is an intervention made by Superflex from Denmark. We designed a tile that have an intervention from these artists, which we respect a lot. And they were basing their project. They talk about different conditions that alter the world, for example, economy, or they have a project around the reefs, and they, in this case, made this project around the colors of the Mexican money. No, in a way, they create this facade that is based on the power of economy to transform in a good and in a bad way. And then on the right-hand side, the exhibition starts to be part. You see a piece of these ice cream balls are from Alicia Guaide, one of the most known artists today. And they have become now a cultural platform fully, and they promote and sell marble, but they have this dialogue in two ways that has allowed them to express in a different way and to become unique. So this is what happened inside. Some of the exhibitions that they have had inside Arca that you can see at the end, they keep on maintaining the display of materials, but they have interactions that they do with different artists around stone. And the third project that was about to happen and was stopped in pandemic, this was in an area called Santa Fe in Mexico City. And this was the remaining area between two buildings, like two towers that were constructed. And don't ask me why, but there was a remaining void between two of them that was owned by one of the guys, and is the below part of the parking of the neighbor, to say it in a way. So this is a model of what actually happens, but the reality is this, no? You have the scale of the space is incredible, like to do, again, a space that allows us to create an agora
talks, workshops, and to create a permanent exhibition gallery for architecture and for design. Sadly, this project didn't happen, but I want to share it with you. This is in collaboration with Brian Thorin, and an artist from LA that moved to Mexico. And we left mostly as it was the expression of the cave, and just create certain, let's say, connections with walls and platforms that allows to do the gallery and or to express the display. Sorry, it went. How I am with time? I'm okay? Yeah? Okay. So going back to Ewe, we like the idea, besides making reference of pre-Hispanic influence, we also relate to natural phenomena. And in Mexico, as you know, we are surrounded by volcanoes that are active volcanoes. And part of the expression of the materials we have is shaped by that, no? Like the volcanic stone, the recinto, is part of our, let's say, our everyday expression in crafts. So in a way, we wanted to make an homage to these volcanoes, and we carved in a volcanic stone an expression that we consider could mimic the expression of magma. And we carve them out and start a process where we blew glass inside it. So the glass took the shape. This is the molds. The glass took the shape of the texture of the stone and the shape of the mold. And out of that, we created these bubbles. This is a hammer plate of brass that creates a depth in the reflection. And it also enhances the texture of the glass. So this piece involves 4 workshops for 4 months. Each piece becomes unique, even though that there are a series of 7. Each piece becomes unique, and it really displays the skills of the artisans and the possibilities of what can be achieved with these artisans in Mexico. And we created, after that piece, based also in natural phenomena, a piece called Nebula, which is an interaction between lamps that we aim for big spaces. And in a way, it has this cloudy shape that is created out of the metal shape that we do. So we like also the idea that the shape of metal, whenever you blow glass inside, becomes a random expression, because not a single bubble will travel inside the metal in the same way. So every piece can have a size. Every piece can have let's say, a format, but it's never the same shape. So this is also a project that I really like, that is based on the principle of entropy. Entropy is how the conditions of temperature and air can alter an object. So we created these fins. This is with Brian Thorin and Emiliano Godoy. We created these fins of wood as a mold, and we start to really blow incandescent glass inside these fins. So every time we place the glass inside, the fins of wood will start to burn naturally and will start to alter. But we, in a random way, start to allow the fins to create the expression. You can see like some of the pieces that are mostly burned now, but they start to create these shapes out of the edge of the fins, which are random. We don't control them. As I say, to the principle of entropy, the temperature and the air makes the shapes every time different, even though that we start with the same mold. And you can see on the right-hand side, like the first piece that went into the mold, and on the left side, how it starts to deform and to create a different expression out of it. And this was translated into different pieces and different scales. For example, this is the first one, and then it starts to expand from the center to the sides using the same mold. What defines and what conditions expression is just how the variations of the heat of the fire have reshaped the mold. And this is a project that plays more around the memory. We have a lot of artisans that still using the milking stools that were inherited by their parents or their grandparents. And they have become a possession in a way. They won't give it away by any money. They don't sell it. They keep it as part of the memory. So we call these pieces memory. We ask them to lend us the stools, and we take a memory. We make an imprint of the stools, and we make them in bronze. And so we keep part of that memory, and we, in a way, give them back the original piece. And we create these collections of stools that aim to preserve the beautiful expression of the vernacular world in something that will last forever, in a way. And seeing the molds that you saw at the beginning where we cast them, we see also an incredible possibility that is called the memory of the memory, which is the molds that hold the piece. Again, what happens in the workshops is incredible, and it's mostly to take the opportunity to say, this has a value, let's go after it. And it can be as easy as that, no? Like what makes, what creates the speed of design, it is related on an exercise of observation. And this is an evolution of something. It's not something that we invented in that moment. It is that we were casting, we were working around it, and we see something that already has magic embedded on it. So we created these pieces that are the memory of the memory, which has an expression on their own. I'm about to finish. 2 projects more, and I'm done. You tell me if it's okay. I am also obsessed with repetition. This is a piece that is called Frequency. It is a bench that is made with the guys of Cipesa. This is a workshop that I work a lot with. And it is out of the same shape, adjusting it in different positions and variations, not having a single piece aligned with the other, creating a small vibration that when you see this bench in light, it is meant to be. I haven't taken photos of outdoors, but it meant to blur in a way with a context. You can see how the piece has variations, and also the voids that it has on the upper part becomes the structural point for the connection. But all of them have the same shape, or are made out of the same mold. And it has a family of pieces, 2 scones that are made in brass, also in stainless steel, that are part of the same expression. And with this project I finished. I have had an obsession with, I think I was talking with you about it, Clay. I had an obsession with honeycomb cardboard and the architectonical expression of it. I've been working, I have a coffee shop that is inspired by it. I'm doing a house that is inspired by it, and I've been exploring different compositions of what can happen with those edges of honeycomb when they are cut and how they express architectonically. So we created certain pieces, let's say pieces that can have a use, no? And we create a collection of pieces, in this case tables and lamps, that express the architectonical quality. In this case, we're working with bronze. which is beautiful. It's the same process that's been done for the last 2,000 years, and it haven't changed anything. No? So the fact that we can still work with a process that has transcended generations and remains intact is incredible. And the beauty of how it's done, no? This is lost wax, so we create the first molds, we cast them in wax, and then we put them in sand, and we pour the bronze on them, or the aluminum in this case, and we clean out the sand, and we start to get what is contained inside that frame is the texture of one of the edges that we start to polish and create the connections in order to build these structures that in a way have changed from a material that doesn't have an intrinsic value that is mostly used for inside panels, so sometimes it goes to waste because it's for packaging, how it has an intention that if it's again reassigned can have a expression, no? Even in materials like bronze. And I went wild with it, like I really been exploring different scales, different possibilities, and I am enjoying the process. I'm really happy, and I think it's the first time I share it. I'm having with this collection a solo show in New York on March. I was signed by a gallery for this project in particular, and I'm really excited about it. So if you happen to be in New York, guys, in March, you're welcome to attend. So is this explorations of how a project can have different scales, and this can be a small building or a small house, or it is a side table in this case, but how these iterations create the beautiful expression, and then again the photo is not revealing what's the real scale, but then you understand that it's a side table, and then finally we go to a light fixture that I created out of it, and the light fixture is so in daylight, the skin, to say it in a way, is the one that has the protagonism, no? And at night it fully disappears and allows what happens inside to emerge. So again, it's based on the principles of light.